The Raiders are pissed off, and they had no problem speaking on it on Thursday. That plus a whole lot more comes up on Friday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for July 26, 2024.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts to get the latest edition of the show as soon as it becomes available. As always, if you're giving us a look on YouTube, you know we appreciate that. The show continues to grow each and every day, and that's because of you, Raider Nation, and because of my man Ari, who does a great job each and every day getting us on YouTube, making sure we're looking good and we're sounding good. We shout him out. We appreciate him. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. I'm on Twitter as well, as many of you know, at your boy Q254. You can always hit me up. And if you want to be a part of the show, 707-654-4693. And also want to remind you that on the YouTube page, on our Locked On Raiders podcast YouTube page, I'm also doing little 1-minute recaps immediately following practice. So we're trying to get those up on the YouTube. So if you just want a quick 1-minute recap, you could go check out our YouTube page. I'll give that to you right from the practice field. And then, of course, later on the Locked On Raiders podcast, this show itself, give you a full recap of the day of practice. So that's just another addition that we're doing for the YouTube page as far as training camp goes. But coming up in segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast, as always, your calls and texts, all your feedback that we've been sending in and calling in, we got that coming for you as much as possible. Got some really good calls and texts that I want to get to. Going to try to squeeze as many in as possible as we close out the week really strong. Segment number 2, I'll give you a full recap of what I saw on Thursday and what I heard, probably most importantly, on Thursday as far as the practice field goes and what the Raiders were doing on the field as they're continuing to try to grow this team, build this team, and prepare themselves for the 2024 season. Segment number 1, as I always do, give you the news and notes of the day. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it after I tell you about the title sponsor of this show, which is LinkedIn Jobs. They help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Off top, want to give you a little bit of news and notes from Tom Telesco, the Raiders GM. We actually had an opportunity to catch up with him before Raiders practice on Thursday. It was just a small group of us, like Vinny Bonsignore, Tashawn Reed, myself, Hondo Carpenter, my guy Ed Graney. Just a couple of us were in attendance talking to Tom Telesco. Paul Gutierrez, of course, from ESPN, hitting him with a couple questions here and there. We had an off-the-record conversation. We had also on-the-record conversation. And Vinny Bonsignore asked a question about JPJ and Kolton Miller, who both are starting out on the PUP list. And, of course, there's a little bit of concern as they're trying to put that offensive line together. But it sounds really positive when it comes to JPJ. Sounds like he's going to be back sooner rather than later. Kolton Miller may take a little bit longer. But here's Tom Telesco on the 2 offensive linemen that are on the PUP list.
I know you can't get into specifics, but any level of concern with Kolton Miller and Jackson Powers-Johnson?
No. So Jackson will be pretty short term on there, and Kolton hopefully a couple of weeks. We'll kind of see.
Okay. In his case, is it kind of also an idea of managing him
with Kolton?
Yeah.
Just kind of following the process. Yeah, but we'll hopefully in a couple of weeks kind of start working on him. But we'll kind of play it by ear.
So that was good news right there, that at least JPJ sounds like he's going to come back really quickly, which is great, right? I mean, he, especially as a rookie, needs to get out there as much as possible and get some burn and, get some action and start to get acclimated to NFL lifestyle, especially with the pads going on Tuesday next week. I would love to see JPJ back out there before that day so he can get acclimated. Then Tuesday could put those pads on. Kolton Miller sounds like it's going to be a little bit longer. Also, Tom Telesco mentioned that the retirement of Michael Gallup really caught the Raiders off guard. They were not expecting that, but he was very convinced that even before they got out to Costa Mesa that he just couldn't go on. He was ready to move on with his life. He's played 6 years in the NFL. Injuries caught up to him, and he wasn't ready to continue or didn't want to continue trying to fight the good fight in the NFL. So that caught them off guard, that retirement of Michael Gallup. Of course, they brought in Keelan Doss, the Alameda kid that, of course, was with the Raiders in 2019. We all remember him from Hard Knocks. So, the Michael Gallup, that kind of stood out to me, that Tom Telesco said that it really caught them off guard. So clearly they were expecting Gallup to really compete for that third wide receiver position, maybe in the fourth wide receiver position. But it sounds like they had a little bit of plans where he could have had a role with this team this year, but it's not to be had because Michael Gallup decided to retire. So again, we probably had about 6 minutes on the record with Tom Telesco, then probably about 10 minutes off the record. One thing he did say, and this is a conversation that I've been talking about, is the trade deadline. And I asked him if it was a big difference with it being pushed back an extra week, and now it's not till during week 10, and actually November 5th is the trade deadline. He said, no, it was a big conversation. It's not really a big difference. And he said, actually, what was the big deal is that there's teams in the league right now that are trying to push to have the trade deadline even further back. And he said, at some point, you got to stop pushing it back, or else teams are going to start tanking towards the end of the season and trying to, get better draft position when they're already kind of out of it. So he says he really is cautioning the league to not push it back any further. He said there's a couple teams in the league that don't want a trade deadline period. Just basically, you could trade these players whenever you want. He said that would be bad for the integrity of the game as well. So that was something that stood out to me. That was during our conversation that we had. But what really stood out to me, and what might have been the highlight of Thursday, was not actually the practice, and we'll talk about the practice coming up in segment number 2, was after practice. So we had an opportunity to speak with the players, and we got to talk to Zamir White. We talked to Christian Wilkins. We talked to Robert Spillane, and we also talked to Jack Jones. And everything got started when we started talking with Jack Jones. And he's always fun to talk with. He's always a really good soundbite, but he was honest. And he's always honest as far as we know, right? I mean, he doesn't mince his words. He doesn't hold back or anything. He says what's on his mind, and we can appreciate that. And so it was funny how this whole conversation came up about the ESPN rankings, those future power rankings that we talked about on this show not too long ago. And if you don't remember, ESPN had a future power ranking based on the team's long-term projection, had the Raiders dead last at number 32. And according to the piece, the overall roster ranked at 31, quarterback 32, coaching 29, and the front office 28 out of the 32 teams. So the question was asked by Myra Gomez about how Jack Jones was, what it meant to him to have AP as his head coach, since she knows about the relationship that they have going back to, Long Beach, when, basically Jack Jones was about 13 years old and AP started, being a mentor in his life and coaching him up and all that. So she started out by asking him just what it meant to have AP as the head coach. And then he went on to bring up the rankings. So pretty good stuff right here. Couple follow-ups as well. Here's some good stuff with Jack Jones.
It means a lot to me that, he's my head coach. It means a lot to me that, he gave me this opportunity. I don't take it for granted. I couldn't even put in words, what this meant to me. I mean, him being ranked the 28th coach, I felt like they was disrespecting, me, the team, him. I don't like that. That set a fire under me. We're going to show everybody 6-11 is crazy. I mean, I'm going to get beat 11 times throughout the year. I mean, I'm going to lose more than I win, and I don't like that. That's not who we are. That's not why we working. That's not why we here. And we going to step up, and we going to show why.
A lot of guys try to pretend like they don't read that stuff. Like they're like, I don't see it. You clearly do. You look at it. Why is it important to check it out and use that as motivation?
I wouldn't say it's important to check it out, but it's like you see it. You've been tagged in it all day. You just seeing that stuff. You're on social media, and for a guy to say, oh, I'm not checking that stuff, maybe he's telling the truth, but you can't say you don't see it because you're being tagged in it and all that stuff. So I wouldn't say it's important to check it, but you definitely can't ignore it because you can't let anybody talk however about you. You know what I'm saying?
Is that something you guys talked about, or is that something that you just saw and then you felt that way, or did you guys talk about it as a team?
I felt that way, and then we talked about it as a team. Max came in front of the team and let everybody know, like, this is what it is. This is what they think about us, how we going to handle it.
So we always ask questions, and a lot of times we'll ask about some of the outside noise, and all the players, coaches, they always say, oh, we don't hear that stuff. We don't pay attention to that stuff. But we know they do. They see it on social media. They hear it on the radio. They see it on ESPN. Like, they're very much aware. I can go and open up social media right now and not look for anything Raiders related, and I guarantee something Raiders related will pop up, right? Probably right now what will pop up Raiders related is that the Kermit the Frog Muppet that was given to Trey Taylor at practice on Thursday. That ended up becoming a thing, right? The puppet that was given to him that looked like Patrick Mahomes, and all of a sudden that went viral, had me on ESPN radio talking about it. And, all that stuff, and it is what it is. But that, again, you don't have to go looking for that stuff. I can just open up Twitter, and I guarantee something Raiders will come my way, right? And so that's the same thing for these guys. And so most of the time they try to act like they don't hear it, But it was refreshing to hear Jack Jones. But he wasn't the only one that had something to say about the rankings and how it felt when they're being disrespected and being basically saying, hey, they're going to go 6-11 this year. They're not going to be very good. Their coaches are very good. Their front office isn't very good. Robert Spillane also, who talked right after Jack Jones, was asked about it, and he spoke on the rankings as well. Check him out.
I try to not see it, but I'm pissed off. I'm angry, not just about that ranking, about a lot of rankings that go on. And, of course, it adds to the fuel in the fire. So you see it, you don't want to see it, you don't really care, but at the end of the day, you want respect. So what I say now gets none of that done, so we're going to go out there and make it happen.
But does it help that in some ways you guys, it's in your hands to change that?
It's always in our hands, so yeah.
So it was great to hear, Robert Spillane back up Jack Jones and realize that, Max Crosby, as you heard Jack Jones say, stood up in front of the team. Hey, man, this is what they think of you. This is what they think of us. What are we going to do about it? I like that. I like that edge. I'm glad, like I said, that they were talking about it. I hope that it does push them. I hope that it pushes them during training camp, right? These next, what do they got, 15 more practices at training camp? I hope it pushes them to, when they don't want to do an extra rep or an extra, weight drill, or they don't want to do, a little bit more film study, like you'll push them a little bit because they'll remember what everyone's talking about, that outside noise that they're embracing. Okay, hey, they don't think we're going to be worth the salt. Okay, cool. Let's do it. We'll show them how great we're going to be. I love it. I love every minute of it. I'm glad that they acknowledged it. I'm glad they talked about it. I'm glad the leadership in that locker room basically saying enough is enough. It's taking on the identity of their head coach, Antonio Pierce, when he said the same thing as the Raiders were headed to Arrowhead for that Christmas Day Kansas City game. And he said enough is enough. We're tired of losing to these guys. We're going to go out there. We're going to change it. And they did. So I'm already convinced that the Raiders are going to have a good season and shock some folks. With this kind of motivation, I believe they're going to really be motivated and shock some folks as well, shock some more people as well with what they're able to do this upcoming season. But that was cool, right? It was awesome to really hear the emotion and hear the anger. And again, it's a way to continue to shift the culture that has been in that Raiders locker room, the stink that had been over the organization for so long, where basically mediocrity was okay. It's not okay anymore. And this group of guys, with those group of coaches led by that guy, Antonio Pierce, the head coach, is here to change things. And that, for me, is exciting. And for you, Raider Nation, it should be exciting as well. But that wasn't the only thing that was said that was cool. Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator, he actually met with us before practice around 9:30. Practice started at 10 o'clock, and he honestly set the tone as well. You'll hear from him, and I'll give you a full recap of what I saw on the practice field on Thursday. We'll do that coming up in segment number 2 with today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula of championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Everything from superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Doesn't matter if you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to get into just my overall thoughts of what I saw on the practice field on Thursday as we continue to expect to see this team ramp up. They'll be back on the practice field today. We'll actually talk to head coach Antonio Pierce before practice around 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to hear it, you can hear it live on Raider Nation Radio 920, the morning tailgate. We'll run that live in its entirety. But excited about, again, them just continue to ramp up and get ready for Tuesday when they'll have the pads on for the first time. But I thought Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator who is going into his third year as a DC with the Raiders, I do believe if the Raiders defense plays as well as I think they're going to play this year, he'll probably be gone after this year because somebody's going to hire him as a head coach. And shout out to Patrick Graham because he does want to be a head coach in the National Football League. And what better way to do it than lead a defensive team, a defensive unit to be even better than they were last year. I keep calling them bloodthirsty Pirates. I definitely think that that's what they're going to be, and he's the leader of the whole side of the ball. So I'm excited about what he could bring, but he really set the tone as far as I was concerned on Thursday when he met with us, and he was very, just as a matter of fact approach to his presser. So check out Patrick Graham. He was asked questions about, the unit coming back and having all the starters coming back outside of one, in the addition to Christian Wilkins, and, just how they could build off what they did last year, and just love his approach. Here's a couple follow-ups as well. But here's Patrick Graham, just a short portion of what he had to say on Thursday, as far as I'm concerned, setting the tone for the practice.
So many guys back from last year, and you obviously having the system back and everything else. Like, how far advanced do you feel right now, first day of training camp as last year?
So first things first, last year, coming back, none of that matters at all. Again, the fact that we have familiarity with each other, there's a positive there. But in terms of how it's going to play out in the 2024 season, none of that stuff matters. And the beauty of it is they understand that. They understand. I get the question, but they understand that. Everything that we accomplished this year in 2024 is going to be earned starting with what's going on that field right now and during training camp as we develop our fundamentals, start developing the fundamentals in terms of the run game, work on the communication because there are some new pieces. But in terms of trying to look back and see how that's going to play into this year, if we do that, and they're not doing that, but if we did do that, that would be a recipe for disaster, in my opinion.
Patrick, Jacorian Bennett seems pretty determined to win the starting job and to be an asset for you guys. What version of Jacorian Bennett have you seen throughout OTAs and now here in training camp?
You're seeing a young player mature in terms of his approach, similar to what I said earlier. And he's determined because he's an NFL football player. These are young men that made decisions when they were young to try to get to this level. And he's been determined all his life. And I would assume it would be like that in any other walk that he decides to do after football. But he's just focused. They're all focused right now. They understand what we're trying to accomplish. They're all focused right now. And the fun thing that AP's created is this environment to get away from everybody, go away for training camp, work together, be around each other a ton, and you can just see a focus in their eyes.
You had Jack Jones for a short amount of time, small sample size, but you saw production. What is his next step in the evolution of his game?
Same thing that Max preaches every day, same thing that AP's preaching. Get 1% each day. That's if you look too far ahead, I get it. The excitement of training camp, the excitement of the season, it's July 5th and people ask me, sending me text messages about when the season starts. So, can I enjoy my vacation first? And plus there's the internet. But I get why everybody's excited, but if we got to get better every day, that's where it starts. So whether it's Jack, whether it's Christian, whether it's Max, whether it's me, I made a mistake on the script today. I'm pissed about that right now. If you can tell my tone, because I tell these guys to be on it and I messed it up. But 1% every day. That's what we're trying to do.
I thought that was great. I really did. I mean, he's talking about he's angry at himself for, messing up the script and not doing what he's supposed to do. And he said, hey, I get on guys for messing things up. I got to, get on myself and hold myself accountable for messing things up. And you could tell by my tone. And, he wasn't mad at me, but I just love that he was open and honest about the situation, right? And, that kind of intensity, it just really, if your coaches are intense like that, and intense in a respectful way, not intense where they're trying to intimidate you, but just, hey, look, intense. As a matter of fact, attention to detail, let's go get it done. So on the practice field, after they finally hit the field, I thought the defense did some really good things. Jacorian Bennett, I thought he made a really nice play on the ball. And obviously his training camp and preseason is going to be big for JB as he's fighting for a starting corner spot across from Jack Jones. But one of the things that drives me crazy is when corners don't track or turn and look and track the ball. And in the red zone on Thursday, the Raiders had 2 interceptions, and one was made by JB, even though he didn't come up with the interception. The Gardner Minshew threw a lob into the end zone, and JB was with the wide receiver. He turned, located the ball, jumped, elevated it, hit it at its high point, and hit it and deflected it. And Trayvon Merrick eventually came down with the interception. So that was an interception in the end zone, but a nice play for Jacorian Bennett. He needs to continue to play with confidence. As long as he plays with confidence, he's going to be really good. He's got the speed, he's got the skill set, but what happened in his rookie year, he lost a lot of confidence. But a lot of people in that organization inside the building, the Raiders building, have high hopes for JB this year, and they think that he could be really good. And then Marcus Epps, he jumped a route that Gardner Minshew threw, and that would have been a pick six, right? He just read it like a book, jumped the route, and boom, took it to the house, right? Pick six right there. So a couple of good plays right there for the defense. They still look like they were flying around pretty well. Thought the defensive line did some really good things against the offensive line. Max Crosby is still fast, right? There was a time I was standing on the sideline watching Max. I was like, damn, did he get faster? It almost looked like he got faster, but there's multiple guys that are getting back. It's not just Max, right? Christian Wilkins is doing his thing from the defensive tackle spot. Kuntz is having his way. Tyree Wilson is looking good. Like, the whole defensive line is doing exactly what we expect the defensive line to do, and that makes everyone else's job easier. Something that Robert Spillane said after the practice, and he met with us, and he was talking about he just wants to be great at 1/11th of the defensive side of the ball, right? Because there's 11 guys on defense, so he's one of them. He just wants to be great at his position, let the other 10 guys be great at their position, which will make, the whole defense a really solid unit. He said, they've got to trust me, and I've got to be able to trust them. The guys in front of me have to know that, have to trust me to have their back. And I've got to be able to trust the guys behind me to have my back. And they've got to trust that I'm going to do the right thing. But he used that trust word quite a bit. And just talking about his excitement level for just being able to go out there and continuing to grow. And it's almost like he was built to be a Raider, man. He just seems the part, right? And even Patrick Graham in his press conference before practice said that Robert Spillane is so important. He's basically him on the field. And they basically have sit-down conversations where it's just Patrick Graham and Robert Spillane, and just trying to understand Patrick Graham's mindset, Robert Spillane's mindset. So Robert's out there on the field. He can relay the message as Patrick Graham is thinking the message, right? As Patrick Graham wants everything executed, Robert Spillane's able to go out there and direct traffic the way that he's supposed to direct traffic. And Patrick Graham loves having him as that middle linebacker, as that linebacker with the green dot. As far as offensively go, it wasn't anything fantastic. Both quarterbacks were just okay. Right, they did some good things. They did some, like I said, okay things. O'Connell had a touchdown pass to Harrison Bryant, and really it was a great catch by Harrison in the back of the end zone. He laid out and made the catch, and it was a pretty good fastball that O'Connell threw. Minshew hit Jacoby Myers for a touchdown, a little short underneath route, and Jacoby made a little jump step here, jump step there, and boom, got into the end zone. So that was a couple touchdowns right there. But the guy that I'm looking forward to making some plays, and I know it's only a couple days into training camp so far, Trey Tucker, the speedster, the guy who sounded like he worked on his hands and his feet a lot throughout the course of the offseason. He put two balls on the ground. One from O'Connell and one from Minshew. Both of them would have been touchdowns. So that's something that he's got to clean up. Again, not panicking. It's only 2 practices under his belt so far, but you want to start developing those habits. You want to make sure that you're hauling those balls in. You're completing the process. You're catching the ball. You're getting to the end zone. You can't drop them on the ground. You can't let them, hit the turf. When you miss a big opportunity, normally that big opportunity doesn't come back. Right? When you miss it, you miss it. So, Trey Tucker, he's a guy that I'm looking at thinking that, he has an opportunity, special with, all the like Jalen Guyton, the wide receiver being on the PUP list, Michael Gallup retiring, Keelan Doss, again, he's a good story, but I don't think anyone thinks that he's going to be a wide receiver that's going to get a whole lot of reps and a whole lot of catches and be a big factor offensively. So Trey Tucker has the ultimate opportunity. He's just got to take advantage of it and make the most of it. For the day during 11-on-11, Gardner Minshew was 8 for 11, had a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Aiden O'Connell was 6 for 11 and had a touchdown. So, again, nothing that was overwhelming, nothing that was fantastic. The defense still looks really good. They're, flying around. They're working a lot. They spent a lot of time. I mean, they probably had it felt like 5 or 6 sessions on special teams alone. And, again, they're working on that quite a bit. They'll do a session, a team session, then all of a sudden special teams. Then they'll do individual drills, special teams. Then they'll do some other drills, special teams. Like, they did a lot of special teams on Thursday, and I expect them to continue to do that. But we'll get a full recap of how AP feels about the first 2 days of practice. What does he think about, his players being pretty angry about those ESPN rankings? Jack Jones speaking on it. Obviously, Robert Spillane spoke on it as well. And we'll also ask him about the whole, the whole Kermit the Frog, Patrick Mahomes thing that's gone viral, that everyone thinks that, okay, now the Raiders poked the bear, and, get AP's thoughts on that as well. He probably won't say much on it, but it'll be asked for sure at some point. Somebody, somehow. Maybe it'll be me. Maybe it'll be Vinny. Usually Vinny leads us off, and so he'll probably ask that question just because he usually leads us off, and sometimes he'll give 2 or 3 follow-ups real quick before anyone gets a chance to get the question in. So somebody, I guarantee, will ask AP about the whole Kermit the Frog thing, and then also ask him about the rankings and how Max Crosby stood up and basically told the team, hey, this is what they think about you. This is what they think about us. What you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Definitely could appreciate that. But that's what I got for you for segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Coming up in segment number 3, your calls and texts straight off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And you know that that's not easy, right? LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open for the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, make the process even easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. What you got to do right now is post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts draft that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Going to try to squeeze as many calls and texts in as possible as we close out the week real strong. Let's start off with Lauren from Oceanside. Ladies first. She's calling to get the juice in, Raider Nation flowing. She has a few tips on what everyone should do as fans, especially around game day. She's talking about her excitement for the upcoming season. Here she is, Lauren from Oceanside.
Hi, Q and Raider Nation. This is Lauren from Oceanside, the yay ambassador. I'm excited for the upcoming season. I'm stoked that we have Coach AP, Aiden O'Connell, and Gardner Minshew have the opportunity to prepare this season to be our quarterback, and we're relying on them to be the best they can be so Devontae Adams wants to stay. And we already know our defense is ready to turn it up. As we look forward to the 2024 season, I want to remind the nation about the importance of making opposing fans really feel our presence and make it so they can't ignore the fact that Las Vegas is our city and Allegiant is our home. As a reminder, last year I called in and encouraged fans to yell, yay, yay, like Ice Cube after they announced, that's good for a Raiders first down. We picked up some steam last year, but I certainly had hoped more fans would have joined in. If you shout it, other fans will join in, so stop being shy and just go for it. I also like to hang my Raider Nation flag in my hotel window, and I backlight it in the evenings, and I can only imagine how hype I'd feel if I could get several of you to join in this practice. Just order some suction cups that have hooks, grab a couple of binder clips, your flag, and you're ready. Just imagine how cool it'd be to see Raider flags all over the strip, all over downtown. We have the power to make that happen. Our team needs to feel the support. Let's do it. Yay, yay.
Yay, yay. Lauren, thanks so much. Fantastic call. I appreciate you. And, I actually talked to your folks the other day, some of your people the other day at training camp. I believe it was on Wednesday, and I think that they said you're coming out today. So if you're coming out, bring that energy. Even though there's not a lot of fans in the stands, I will say this, on Friday, it was loud. The fans that were there were very loud. When they yelled out, Raiders, I was all the way across the field, like 2 fields over, and I looked over. I was like, dang, that was loud. and it was not a lot of folks there because, as you know, it's not just like open for any fan to just roll in. So, yeah, bring that energy, bring that juice, get out a few yays. Get that, make that happen. When they get a first down or a big play, do that. I just want to see what the players' reaction is going to be. And, if you see me, yell at me. Yeah, Q, yay, just whatever. Just yell at me. Would love to meet you, holler at you, and like I said, bring that energy. It's awesome. Definitely like to meet. And I've met a bunch of folks already that listen to the show, and I definitely appreciate meeting everyone. But thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. Up next, got a text from my guy Ant Dog in the ATL. It says, "Hey Q, it's your boy Ant Dog Raider from the ATL. I wanted to talk about Jack Jones at this press conference. He was ranked the 28th coach. I felt that they were disrespecting me, the team, him. I don't like that. This team is all in for AP. Stark difference from this time last season. This team has something to prove, and it's going to be a fun ride this season. I believe at the end of the season, AP will be able to quote the late, great Muhammad Ali and said after he beat Sonny Liston and say, 'I shook up the world.' I haven't been this excited for a season as Raider fans in a long time. Keep doing what you do. P.S. Do I have to be an employee of Raider Nation Radio to get some of that drip you're wearing on Behind the Shield? LOL. Raiders." That's Ant Dog in the ATL, and I'll start with the drip from Behind the Shield. That's actually something that the Raider Nation Radio shirts that you see in the YouTube shows and you saw Behind the Shield, and I wear it to work every day. I got shirts, I got jackets, I got all that kind of stuff. I actually got those created myself. I believe in representing your radio station. I believe that you should let it be known where you're from, and you wouldn't understand how much of a conversation starter it is. People will look at it and see it and be like, Raider Nation Radio, and then boom, we get into the conversation. It's great advertising as well, and I always like to be promoting, so I like to wear that to work all the time. And you look good, you feel good, you play good, right? So I have hoodies, sweatshirts, jackets, collar shirts, right, T-shirts. I got a whole lot of that stuff, and I had it created my own self, and I actually got to get some more of them, get some new stuff for the upcoming season. But thanks so much for the compliment on that. I do believe that AP is going to shock some folks, and if everything goes right, they make the playoffs. I wouldn't be shocked if he's in the running for Coach of the Year. They got to make the playoffs. They got to go win games. Like, they can talk about it, but they got to be about it as well. And yeah, I mean, this team definitely all has AP's back. You would have never heard them cutting for Josh McDaniels like that. And I'm not trying to dog on Josh McDaniels, but you would have never heard these players come out and say what they said about Coach McDaniels and have his back like that. And you know what? He wouldn't have let them come out and say that either. He would have said, don't say anything. Right? Don't speak on it. If anyone had said something about the rankings or said something about receiver of the show, he would have said, "Nah, don't speak on it. Just tell him to talk to Coach." That's just kind of how he rolled. But thanks so much for the text. I do appreciate you. Up next, Army Raider. He's calling to talk about a few different topics, including JP Che, and also talks about the media and their hate for the Raiders. Here he is, Army Raider.
Hey, Q, it's your boy Army Raider. Just catching up on your thing yesterday. Got a couple quick takes, I guess you'd call it. One, I know it's early, but I'm really concerned about JPJ for no other reason than his injury history and it being a shoulder. And to be honest with you, man, I'd almost rather it be a knee or ACL or something than a shoulder. So, both in the military and then also doing MMA for as long as I have, it's one of the worst injuries to come back from are shoulder injuries, and I watch so many people just struggle with it, and it truly is worrisome, for lack of a better word. I hope he comes back strong. I hope he comes back better, but I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't a bit of a concern that that's what the injury is. Also, I hear a lot of people talking about this, that, or the other, how all the media hates the Raiders. And, there's some people who don't give us our fair shake, but if you listen to every fan base around the country, this working national radio, it's what every single fan base says, and 9 times out of 10, it's not true. They pick the easy narrative. It's not that they're picking on the Raiders. It's that the Raiders are currently the easy narrative, for lack of a better word. So the way you shut people up is by winning. So if we go out there and start kicking these people's ass, we win. If you're truly bugged about it, that's how you shut everybody up. Anyways, you're doing awesome as always. Love to everybody. Army Raider out.
Army Raider, thanks for the call. I appreciate you. And I'm with you on JPJ. I was concerned about the injury until we talked to Tom Telesco, but I do have understanding that he's had some injury history when he was at Oregon, and so that is the concerning part. You want to make sure that guy stays healthy. I don't know exactly what the injury was. I was told it was a shoulder, then I was told it's not a shoulder, and then Tom Telesco said he's not going to be on the PUP list very long, so it's kind of like the MJ shoulder shrug, right? I'm not 100% sure, what it is and what's going on, but hopefully, as Tom Telesco said, he'll be back soon. Kolton Miller sounds like it's going to be a couple weeks, and that is shoulder surgery, and so we'll see what happens. That I look at Kolton Miller and look, man, there's a chance that maybe he's not back by August 27th, and if he's not back by August 27th, then he's going to miss the first 4 games of the season. So if you got a couple weeks, that'll already put you into August, and if he's not ready to come back then all of a sudden you start pushing that date. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but again, you never know. So here we go. Thanks so much for that call. I appreciate you. Got a text from Chris A. up in Oakland and said, "What's up, Q? Keep up the great work and keep us Oakland fans in the loop. I'm looking forward to seeing how the quarterback competition shakes out. I think we'll be fine with either Minshew or O'Connell. More importantly, I'm looking forward to see how our defense gels because that unit's going to keep us in games. Keep me posted, bro." Chris A. from Oakland. Thanks for the text. And, yeah, the defense is going to do the heavy lifting. AP talked to us on Tuesday and basically said that the defense has got to be good. They've got to play good. They're going to keep the Raiders in every game as far as I'm concerned. And that's just because they're that good, and I think they're going to be that much better. So that's exciting. That's something to get fired up about, but I'll definitely keep you in the loop with everything that I'm hearing, everything that I'm seeing, including the quarterbacks as well, see if there's one that separates. It probably won't be decided until a preseason game or 2 is under their belt. We'll see. They got Minnesota, Dallas, and the 49ers, so at some point they'll figure out who their quarterback's going to be, and they'll make a decision. Then the question will be, when will they announce it? That'll be the other question. So thanks so much for the text. I do appreciate you. Just got time for a couple more. How about this one? Stevie from Antioch, California. He's calling to talk about Kolton Miller and JPJ and shares his thoughts on the guy starting off on the PUP list. Here he is, Stevie from Antioch, California.
Hey, what's up, Q? This is Stevie from the 925 Antioch, California. I'm going to just make this super quick. I love your show. I just want to say that I don't want to hit the panic button either with Kolton Miller and JPJ. We are doing line philosophy and offensive philosophy in general. This is like one of the biggest shifts you could possibly do, going from McDaniels power blocking to we're going to this wide zone scheme with the dude we got from the Niners and Luke Getsy. I mean, I don't want to panic, but we need Miller and JPJ got to be out there getting ready for this new scheme. This is not something you can just throw them in during game time. All right, you got it. Here you go. Not the same. We were talking about this the other day about the shift between like zone blocking and power blocking. So yeah, I'm not hitting the panic button yet, but I agree with you 100%. We got to get these dudes out there. They have to get used to this system. All right, man. You have a great day. Bye.
Appreciate you, my man. And, similar to what I said earlier in the show, not really panicked about it. Sounds like JPJ is coming back. Kolton Miller is going to be a couple weeks. So hopefully, like I said, Miller's back before August 27th. If he is, all is good. Right? I mean, that's really the biggest key as far as I'm concerned. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. Trying to squeeze these last couple in. This text from Casey in South Carolina. What's up, Q? It's Casey from South Carolina here. First, I want to say I appreciate everything you do with the podcast. Great stuff as always. My question for you is, can you break down how different the offense could look depending on who wins the quarterback competition? Also, if JPJ is not ready to go by the regular season, who do you see being the starter? Keep doing what you do. Go Raiders. That's Casey in South Carolina. Thanks so much. And it's funny. Minshew has the mobility with his legs, right? I mean, he could do something. He can get out of the pocket. He can pick up a first down. He can keep some plays alive a lot easier than Aiden O'Connell. And Jack Jones, when he spoke to us on Thursday, he even said it. He said, Aiden O'Connell wants to stand back there like Tom Brady and not move around. Where Gardner Minshew, he wants to get a little loose and be able to run, and has a little bit more Patrick Mahomes to him. And, I don't know if I'd put Patrick Mahomes and Gardner Minshew in the same conversation, or even Tom Brady and Aiden O'Connell, but you understand what he was saying. One's not going to move at all, wants to stand in the pocket and throw the ball. The other guy, is willing to move. And so I think that offenses look a lot different if you have Minshew in there and you know that you have that element that you can use, and you could have him, keep some plays alive, and there could be some big plays that come off of that. I think that the offense can do a lot of rollouts, some bootlegs. That's just not Aiden O'Connell's strong point, right? We saw some drills on Thursday where they were rolling out and throwing the ball in the net, and at some point Aiden O'Connell was able to roll out, but it just looks slow when he's rolling out, right? And so I feel like even if he tries to roll out, that looks like a sack more times than not. And then his accuracy went way down when he was doing that drill, where Minshew looked pretty good doing it, right? He looked pretty comfortable. And I got to shout out Gardner Minshew. He's out there with the shells on. He's the only guy out there that uses his shells, his shoulder pads. And, I believe that's just because, he just wants to keep that same rhythm that he would have if he was in the game, right? He doesn't want to make that motion and make that throwing seem any different, not having any shoulder pads on and then all of a sudden throwing it on, it just kind of throws him off. I think he wants to make sure it stays the same all the time. But, so it would definitely look a lot different. And I feel like there's more things that Luke Getsy can do if, they use the mobility of Gardner Minshew. But I do think with the leadership of O'Connell, the way that he's got the ear of the room and the ear of AP, I think he's the leader in the clubhouse, but he's going to have to earn that job because Minshew ain't backing down. That's for sure. We'll close out, and I know we're going a little bit long. Ari, I'm sorry, but we'll close out with this call from Grim Raider from Virginia. He's calling to drop some bars for us, Raider style, so I know Ari will approve. Ari's a big hip-hop guy, and Grim Raider's trying to give his best hip-hop, like I said, his hip-hop bars that he's about to drop, but he's doing it all Raider style. Here he is, Grim Raider from Virginia.
Hey, what's going on, Q? This is Grim Raider. I haven't hollered at you in a minute. I just want to read off a little rhyme that I put together. It took me a little while, but I got it right here. This is Grim Raider from VA. Here we go. Kick off to the season. Let's go 2024. AP and his banner Raiders back in silver and black. Yo ho. Speaking of back, you better watch shows for show. Rank us dead last, but little do they know. As always, underdogs, Raider Nation, just win, baby. Everybody else thinks it's only wins with a QB lately. AOC with an arm, Minshew with the swag. Competing and winning games, not just in the battle of stash. Zeus with the juice, lightning, and thunder. Which receivers they gon' cover? Trey, Tay, Bowers, Mayer, Myers? I wonder. Get ready for the stats, hit 'em with the facts. Defense so nasty. Ready to attack with the sacks. Shutting down the opposition one after the one and the next. Coons, Wilson, Wilkins, and of course the Mad Max. D-line so brutal and vicious, hit him with with a boom. Offense, here's the end. Call him the Ray Doom. Commitment to excellence, pride and poise. These silly media and haters ain't making no noise. Raider Nation, stand up. We the boys. Hope y'all like it, man. One nation, Raider Nation. Just win, baby. Raiders, get 'em. And keep doing what you're doing, Q. I'll holler at you later, man.
Grim Raider, thanks for the bars. I appreciate you. The fact that you just, took the time to put that together is all I needed. I know that it ain't the easiest thing to do. If I was in a hip-hop group, I would not be the rapper. I'd be the hype man, right? I'd be the guy in the background. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Uh-huh. Tell him about it, son. Let's go. Well, yeah. Go on. I'd be that guy. I wouldn't be the rapper. I'm not that guy. But I like it, man. I like that you, like I said, took the time to put that together. So well done. Thanks so much for that. And that's a great way to head into the weekend, right? With some bars. So got practice today. Again, AP will be speaking around 9:30. We'll talk to a handful of players, probably about 4 players following practice. That gets wrapped up around noon. So we should start talking to them about 12:15 or so. Look forward to that. I'll do my radio show, both of them following practice, 2 to 5, Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920, then 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on ESPN Radio. Game night, flying back to Vegas Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, and then flying back to Costa Mesa late Sunday night, and be back at it on Monday. And we'll do training camp all week long. So Monday's podcast will probably come to you from Las Vegas, from Studio Q. And like I said, and then we'll be back out here in Costa Mesa, and excited about that. But got to get to the house, make sure the wife's doing okay with me being, she's probably doing fine. She's probably like feeling like she's at a country club without me. But just, check in on the house, make sure everything is all good, and then get back to Costa Mesa for training camp. So Raider Nation, have a fantastic weekend. Thanks so much for making the show your first listen of the day. If you want to chime in on or listen to and get more information on any other team in the league, the Locked On Podcast Network covers all 32 teams, covers so many different sports. Got draft talk, got women's basketball talk, got hockey talk, got all kind of different baseball, NBA action, whatever it is that you're looking for. The Locked On Podcast Network has it, over 200 total shows on the network, so make sure you check them out. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So until Monday, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.